Hey guys, so I was lucky enough to get a chance to play the beta for Duet Night Abyss, aka DNA, an upcoming Warframe-like gacha game, currently with no confirmed release date. After a fair amount of hours on the game, here are my thoughts. Also keep in mind that this is a beta and a lot of things are subject to change upon release. With that said, let's just jump right in. Let's start off by talking about what I thought was good about the game, starting with the visuals. Characters compared to the last time we saw them, so in the alpha, got small visual changes and upgrades on their character models. The environment and world building looks more vibrant and filled with life. In all honesty, in the game's current state, I think the world looks way better than the characters as of right now. The soundtrack so far sounds really promising. I think the devs are a big fan of the Nier series because that's the vibe I'm sort of getting from most of the music I've heard in the game so far. Combat and movement feels fairly good and fluid, the gun combat while airborne and helix jumping especially. I also find corpse dungeon enemies both amusing and satisfying. The game also incorporates good uses for both melee and ranged combat. For example, the spear can be thrown in place to lock down a specific area, dealing continuous damage and allowing you to swap to a ranged weapon to follow up. Also, there is no fall damage, so that is a big plus. Not sure if they're going to change this, but weekly bosses do not consume stamina. I think it's better if it remains this way because it gives a bit more freedom to players. After defeating a weekly boss, they have a chance of dropping a blueprint which you can use to forge 5-star weapons at the blacksmith, adding some decent grinding to the game, and also adding a way for FTP players to keep up with the whales. Most of the character designs are pretty fleshed out. It seems they're going for Genshin's formula, or Genshin Impact's formula, where characters reflect their element with the color of their clothes. As of now, I think the best looking characters in my opinion are Psyche, really cool name by the way, Hilda, Fushu, Sybil, Fina, Bernica, Hellfire, and Randy. I think the remaining roster could use a touch up or a complete redesign. The Genimon/Pokemon catching system has potential. It adds a bit of RNG element to the open world, and it is also an activity that doesn't require stamina to do. Side activities and random encounters during open world and dungeon has potential, adds a bit of RNG, and makes each run or each encounter feel special. The loading time for this game is actually really good. I don't know how they do it, but loading time is almost non-existent. Transitions from expedition to the open world is almost seamless. It takes no time at all for the game to load in. The ability to play with your AI companion feels good so far. It's a good way to feel like you're playing co-op without actually playing co-op. The AI themselves have flaws, but for the most part are somewhat helpful and have potential to improve upon. The game performance is actually really good. It runs fairly well, even on my very small gaming laptop. It runs fairly smooth, even with all the chaos on screen. Character and equipment customization has potential. Not only does it allow players to create the best version of their characters, but it allows originality between each player. So my Psyche might look different from your Psyche. Slightly, I would say. Nothing out of the ordinary for the gacha system, other than the fact that they've adapted Wuthering Waves guaranteed weapon banner, which I think is a massive dub. They also gave us the greatest gift the gacha game could ever give us, the almighty skip button, sparing you of any potential screen time this character has. Okay, let's talk about what could be improved. The character is Snow. She needs to kind of go. She needs to disappear. From a guy that's coming from Genshin, it just feels like another Paimon all over again, and it's kind of annoying at this point. I know that's what they're trying to do, just copy Genshin a bit, but you don't need another Paimon, so I'm not asking to get rid of her, but please reduce the amount of times that we as players have to hear her voice. Because every time you load up an expedition or a dungeon, you're forced to hear her voice, and it's going to get old really quickly, so if you can get a mute button, that'd be very nice. Combat needs to be improved upon, specifically the melee side of things. As of now, it doesn't feel like melee combat is as rewarding as ranged combat. There needs to be things that make using melee weapons feel more rewarding and necessary. My solution is that they add a perfect dodge mechanic for all characters. As of now, the only character that can use the perfect dodge system is the male MC. For some reason, I don't know why. Make certain bosses and enemies more melee focused, and also reward players for playing melee. For example, make sanity charge quicker when you're using melee attacks. This is another small one, but I feel like the Genimon should appear on your map. It is kind of weird that you actually have to look around blindly to find them. It's kind of a small inconvenience. Dungeons take too long. This alone will not sit well with casual players. They need to be shorter, and random events shouldn't have you backtracking every time they appear. So for example, the Genimon event that appears every dungeon run have you backtrack into a spawn location just to catch, or to not even catch, a random genie mine. So yeah, that needs to be changed. I don't want to backtrack every time a random encounter or a random event happens. Players should be able to change how their AI companions behave. The AI companion as of now, most of the time, will play very recklessly and get themselves killed, so there should be a way for you to control how they move and how they behave. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really want to talk too much, and I don't think the game has too many problems that need to be addressed. If you guys have any other things that they could change, leave it down in the comments down below. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap up real quick. In conclusion, I think that DNA has what it takes to bring something fresh to the gacha space. All they really have to do is actually listen to player feedback and plan accordingly. The game itself is actually quite fun once you get into it, and the story so far has its moments. So the only thing they actually really have left to do is polish up the game visually and make minor adjustments based on player feedback. With that all said, I have high hopes for DNA, aka Duet Night Abyss, when it releases. Thank you Hero Games for allowing me to play the beta, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace.